The stories about Bobby Darin are fairly legendary, but I found a quote on the Bobby Darin website that is attributed to you that says that you learn more in working with him for 2 or 3 years than most people learn in an entire lifetime of show business. What did you mean by that, and what was he like? Where was the learning experience there for you?
Well, Bobby Darin was a very dynamic, energy-driven individual. I think he knew he was going to die at an early age, and he wanted to pack as much into life as he could before that happened. So he was running at triple speed. Everything was, and he would just do everything perfectly. He was a perfectionist. He knew how to tap dance and play the drums and the guitar and tell jokes and do impressions. And he could do Frank Sinatra. He could be Frank Sinatra. I mean, he was amazing. But he could also be Harry Belafonte or Chad Mitchell, or before. This is before Bob Dylan. I remember I told him about there's this kid down in the village called Bob Dylan, and he laughed. He thought somebody was trying to rip him off for his name, but. Anyway, he taught me a lot about the old school of show business because he came up with George Burns, and he'd been infused with that sense of professionalism that is rare today in show business. At least in rock and roll, you don't see it. I didn't see it. So Bobby got me to, polish my shoes. I wore a black mohair suit and a tie, and my hair was combed, and I showed up on time, and I was in tune, and everything was spit and polished, and it was almost a military kind of discipline. It was really good, and I really appreciated that. And he gave me tips and helpful hints about how to be better in the profession, in the entertainment profession. I asked him how to make it in the music business. He said, well, get into rock and roll. He told me that when I was into folk music. And that's probably what steered me to blend folk and rock, because I was doing that in the Village in 1963 before I came out to LA and formed the Byrds around that sound.
Had you heard the Beatles at this point?
Yeah, the Beatles were the strong influence. It was like Elvis again. It was another paradigm shift. It knocked me into another arena of music. And in the Beatles, I heard the folk music chord changes of Bob Gibson. I heard the blues. I heard Elvis. I heard the Everly Brothers. I heard all these things that I'd grown up with. It was almost like everything came together in one band. And I imagined, this wasn't correct, that they knew how to play the 5-string banjo and fiddle and everything and mandolin, and they could do bluegrass if they wanted to, but they just chose to do this rock and roll stuff. So that was and my job I was working at the Brill Building for Bobby Darin at that time, and my job was to listen to the radio and write stuff like I heard on the radio. And then the Beatles came along, and it just inspired me to go and do that, to be a Beatle. I remember I was walking around the Village after I'd been singing these folk songs with the Beatle beat, and I heard these two guys who were managers across the street. They said, what we need are 4 of him. And a light bulb went off. I went, I should get a band together.